Hi everyone, welcome to episode 15 of Technique Talk, the MYK System, and more. So today we are going to actually talk about one of the research articles that I have posted on the website, and it is about treating the opposite end of the body for different complaints. And so the way that we term this is actually a case study, so it wasn't actually published, but we wrote it up like we have all the things so that it could be published. But it says finding a solution at the wrong end of the body. So it's a case series using the MYK System to resolve biomechanical dysfunctions. So that's what we're going to dig into today. I have used Albert and Irene, my AI counterparts, to help me make this podcast. And so I got to thank my buddy Nate for giving me those names. I thought that was pretty clever. So we're going to jump in here and listen to how we can treat. Sometimes people come in with an upper body complaint. We have to do a lower body treatment to fix it, or vice versa, and how that actually happens and why maybe that happens with different people. And we're going to explain a little bit of that. So let's dive in.
We're diving into a pain relief and mobility technique today. It's called the MYK System.
MYK for short.
MYK for short, right. And it was developed by Dr. Michael Uriarte.
That's your E, by the way.
Your E.
You know, I typed in, because it said, the guy said my name right, Uriarte, and then I typed in Uriarte, and they messed it up. For some reason, the AI, Irene there, kind of blew it. And so, anyway, so it's Uriarte. Okay, so here we go.
A chiropractor and instructor at the University of Idaho.
What's really interesting about MYK is it focuses on finding the root cause of pain, which, a lot of times it's not where you think it is.
So it's not just treating the symptom. You're looking for, what's actually...
Exactly. Like playing detective.
Yeah, causing it. That's fascinating. So we're going to explore the core principles behind that. And then look at some case studies from the MYK System website.
It might seem kind of weird. Treating one part of the body can impact a totally different part, but there's more and more research coming out that supports that idea.
So there's some science behind it.
Yeah. Things
Absolutely.
like regional interdependence and cross-education.
Okay. I got to ask, what is regional interdependence?
Think of your body like a big web. Everything's connected. So like a problem with your shoulder, it could actually affect your hip.
What? Really?
Yeah, or even your knee. It's crazy, right?
So how does MYK use that to treat pain?
So MYK...
Hold on, before we jump into that. So basically, regional interdependence model is used by Gray Cook and his team in the functional movement system. And so this demonstrates imbalances and compensations. Imbalances and compensations do not affect only local aspects of the body. So one point of guarding, or one point, you sit there and, I don't want to do something, so you kind of hold it back or whatever. One point of doing that can change the entire kinetic chain. The kinetic chain is everything on the pathway. So it can change everything on that pathway and therefore disrupt basically the entire body's movement and its ability to function properly. So that is regional interdependence. Okay, here we go. Let's see what Irene has to say. Maybe. There we go.
This postural analysis. It helps them find these imbalances. And they can trace those imbalances back to a specific spinal nerve root level.
Spinal nerve level.
Yeah. Think of it like your spinal cord is a highway. And each exit is a nerve root level.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So are you saying problems at one of these exits can cause issues somewhere else down the road?
Exactly. You get a dysfunction at one of these nerve root levels. It creates like a traffic jam. And that can lead to pain or limited mobility somewhere totally different.
So MYK is trying to clear those traffic jams up.
Yeah, by addressing the root cause, like at the spinal nerve level.
Okay. Makes sense. What about cross-education? And you mentioned central sensitization. Where do those fit in?
So cross-education is this cool phenomenon where if you train one side of your body, it can actually strengthen the other side.
Wait, really?
Yeah. even though you didn't work that side directly.
That's amazing.
So it shows you how connected our nervous system is. And MYK uses that principle to target specific nerve roots and influence, like muscle function throughout the whole body.
So by working on one side.
You can potentially improve the other side too.
What about central sensitive?
Okay, hold on. So Tom Delonzo Baker, who was the founder of Total Motion Release, or TMR. And I've talked to him a couple of times, but his thought process and his technique is, if your right shoulder is hurting and you can't raise your arm up this way, then we're going to do your left arm like 10 times, and we're going to move it around, and then we're going to see if you get a better range of motion on the right side. So working the good side will help the affected side. And with the MYK system, we treat bilaterally. We always treat bilaterally, so we do get the principles of that. We get that crossed section stuff going on. And so that's why they're bringing that up, is because we always treat bilaterally. So if somebody comes in with a problem on the right shoulder, we're going to treat everything on the left side on that nerve pathway anyway, because no treatment is complete unless you treat both sides. Okay, let's jump back in.
So that's when your nervous system gets super sensitive to pain signals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the volume knob for pain is turned way up.
Oh, I get it.
This can happen after an injury or like over time from chronic stress, bad posture, things like that. MYK helps to calm the nervous system down, bring that volume back to normal.
Wow. This is giving me a whole new perspective on pain.
Yeah.
So how do they actually treat these nerve root imbalances?
So MYK treatments, they're not invasive, and they usually only take about 15 minutes, sometimes even less.
Okay.
They use specific muscle manipulation techniques to address whatever imbalance they found in the postural analysis.
And how long does it take to see results? Are we talking like weeks, months?
No.
One of the best things about MYK is people often see results right away.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, because by addressing the root cause, the body can start healing right away and restoring balance.
That's impressive. I understand we have some case
We
studies
do.
that really show how powerful MYK is. Can you walk us through a few?
Absolutely. Let's start with one that really shows that opposite end of the body approach. So we have a 60-year-old guy had chronic hip pain for over 2 years after a car accident. He tried everything. Physical therapy, medication, nothing helped.
Oh, he must have been miserable.
Oh, yeah. His pain was always at like a 2 on the pain scale.
Wow.
It really limited what he could do. And get this, the MYK postural analysis showed an imbalance, not in his hip,
Where?
but at the C5 nerve root level in his neck.
So they treated his neck to help his hip.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wild.
And here's the kicker. After just 2 treatments, his hip pain was completely gone.
2 treatments. You're kidding me.
2 treatments and years of pain disappeared. It's amazing what happens when you find the root cause, right?
That's incredible.
Oh.
I'm ready for another one.
All right, so this one's about a 40-year-old woman. She was a distance runner, but she had this debilitating hip pain that kept sidelining her.
Oh, no. I can only imagine how frustrating that would be.
Yeah, I mean, running was her life. She had treatments focused on her lower body, where the pain was.
Right, makes sense.
But it only helped for a little while, then the pain always came back.
That's so disheartening.
So they did a full postural analysis and found a C5 nerve root imbalance. They thought it might be from an old shoulder injury.
Hold on. Hip pain, but the imbalance is in the neck again.
It can happen.
Shoulder injury, too.
Yeah.
It's getting interesting.
Right, the body's a mystery sometimes. But here's the cool part. Treating the C5 level not only got rid of her hip pain, it also fixed her shoulder problem.
Wow. 2
Nice.
birds, 1 stone.
You got it. It just shows how connected everything is.
Do we have time for one more before we wrap up this part?
Yeah, we got time for one more. Okay, so this one's about a younger woman, 20 years old. She's a dancer. Came in with right shoulder pain, apparently from using a pickaxe.
A pickaxe. Yeah. Kind of a strange one for a dancer, right?
Yeah. So I'm guessing overuse of the shoulder leads to shoulder pain.
You'd think so, but
That?
the MYK postural analysis actually showed an imbalance at the S1 nerve root level in the lower back.
Okay, now my mind is blown. A pickaxe injury, but they treat her lower back. How does that even work?
Remember those spinal nerve exits?
Yeah.
Sometimes the dysfunction is way higher or lower on the highway than where you feel the pain.
Oh, I see. So treating the S1 nerve root actually helped her shoulder.
Yeah, it made a big difference. And then at a follow-up, they found a C5 imbalance too. after treating that, she was fully recovered.
That's crazy. So even though her pain was in her shoulder, the root cause was actually in her lower back and neck.
Exactly. The body's not just a bunch of separate parts. It's all connected.
You've definitely given us a lot to think about. We'll delve further into MYK when we return for part 2 of our deep dive.
So before the break, we were talking about that dancer with the shoulder pain from using a pickaxe. Right. And how they ended up treating her lower back and neck.
Exactly. Pretty wild, huh?
Yeah. So what happened? Did it work?
It did. Those S1 treatments made a huge difference. And then they found a C5 imbalance too.
C5 again?
Yep. After they addressed that one, she made a full recovery.
Wow.
So basically with that, I'm reading the article as they're going through this right now, but it was one S1 treatment, and we got rid of those symptoms, and then they brought her back in for 3 more. They did a re-eval and did 3 more treatments for C5, and so after the 4th treatment, total of 4 treatments, she was released and didn't have any more issues. So that's pretty cool. All right, here we go.
Even with something as unusual as a pickaxe injury, they were able to find the root cause and treat it successfully.
Exactly. It's a good example of how MYK can address pain even when it seems to come out of nowhere.
Okay. So we've seen how MYK can work for those kinds of injuries. But what about something like shin splints?
Oh yeah, shin splints. We see a lot of those, especially with runners and athletes. In fact, I have a great case study about that. A 20-year-old female ROTC student came in with shin splints on both legs.
Ouch. That's got to be tough, especially for someone in ROTC.
Yeah, it was really limiting her training. She had pain on both the inside and outside of her shins, so it wasn't a clear-cut case.
Interesting. So what did they find in her postural analysis?
Well, they found some mild imbalances at the L4 and S1 nerve root levels, but get this. Her upper body assessment showed a primary imbalance at the C5 level in her neck.
The neck again. What is it with the neck?
It's a common pattern we see in MYK. So they decided to start by treating the L4 nerve root.
Okay.
And after just 1 treatment, her shin splints were completely gone.
1 treatment? No way.
Yeah. She felt great the next day, before her run. But then, after she ran, the pain came back even worse.
Oh, no.
It says in here that when she would run, this is on the initial, her pain level on a daily basis just walking around would be like a 1 out of a 10. It wasn't horrible, but when she would go run, it would rise considerably, causing her to buckle under the pain. So that was that's not good. That's pretty bad. So all right, here we go, and it came back after the first treatment.
Right? She came back a few days later, still couldn't run. They tried treating L4 again, even gave her 2 treatments in 1 day. Nothing. It was like they hit a wall.
So frustrating. So what did they do?
Well, at her next visit, they did a new postural evaluation and decided to switch gears. They decided to treat the C5 nerve root imbalance they had found in the initial assessment.
So they treated her neck to fix her shin splints.
Exactly. And guess what?
What?
It worked. Her shin splints completely disappeared after that first C5 treatment.
That's incredible. It's like magic.
It kind of is. They gave her a second C5 treatment that same day, just to solidify the results.
So the shin splints stayed away this time.
They did. She got 2 more treatments the following day, and her symptoms never came back. A final postural analysis showed that most of her imbalances were gone, and she was able to go back to her ROTC training with no limitations.
What an amazing story. It really shows how MYK can get to the root of the problem, even when it's not obvious.
It does. MYK reminds us that the body is a complex system and everything's connected. Sometimes the key to resolving pain is to look beyond the area where you're feeling it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to another case that shows how MYK can be effective for more generalized pain. This one involves a 30-something-year-old woman, university faculty member, who came in with leg pain on her right side.
Okay.
This was after a run, and it was affecting her whole leg, hip, knee, ankle, everything.
Wow. Sounds rough.
It was. Her pain level was a 5, and she couldn't run at all. And get this, there was no specific injury.
Just came on after a run.
Yep, out of the blue. What did they find in her postural analysis?
Well, it showed an imbalance at the C8 nerve root level.
C8, where's that?
That's in the lower neck.
Seriously. Leg pain, but the problem's in the neck.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a common pattern. So they started with a C8 treatment, and her pain went down from a 5 to a 3.
Okay, that's good.
Then they did a muscle energy joint mobilization on her SI joint.
Hold on. What's muscle energy joint mobilization?
It's a technique where the patient uses their own muscles to help mobilize the joint. The practitioner provides resistance, and the patient pushes against it.
Interesting. So it's like a teamwork approach.
Exactly. And in this case, it was a good complement to the MYK treatment. A few days later, she came back for a follow-up. Her pain was still at a 3, so they did another C8 treatment. This time, her pain went down to a 1.
Wow. So she was almost pain-free.
Almost.
Almost.
And by her third treatment, the C8 imbalances were practically gone.
That's amazing. But what about her knee pain? You said it was affecting her whole leg.
That's where things got interesting. Over the next 2 weeks, she got 5 treatments at the S1 nerve root level.
S1, that's in the lower back, right?
Right. So they went from treating her neck to treating her lower back for her knee pain.
Wow. And did it work?
It did. By the 4th S1 treatment, her knee pain was completely gone. And during those 2 weeks, her overall pain level never went above a 2.
That's amazing. So even though she came in with general leg pain, it was actually imbalances in her neck and lower back that were causing it.
Exactly. This case really highlights the importance of finding and addressing the root cause, not just treating symptoms.
Okay. Well,
and if we were to treat the symptoms, knee pain a lot of times is associated with L3. And so the fact that we did S1, C8, and then S1 to get rid of the knee pain, that's unusual.
Before we move on, let's talk about a patient experiencing hip pain. We have a 60-year-old male who came in with chronic hip pain stemming from a car accident.
How long ago was the accident?
It happened 2.5 years before he sought out MYK. And get this, he tried traditional treatments like physical therapy and medication.
But nothing worked.
Exactly. Nothing gave him lasting relief.
So what did the MYK evaluation reveal?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The postural analysis showed an imbalance, not in his hip, but at the C5 nerve root level in his neck.
So they treated his neck to help his hip pain.
You got it. And the results were pretty incredible. After only 2 treatments focusing on his C5 nerve root, his chronic hip pain completely disappeared.
2 treatments. It's amazing how addressing the root cause can make such a difference. It's not about masking the symptoms, it's about actually getting to the source of the problem and fixing it.
I'm with you there. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground in this episode, but before we wrap things up, I want to touch on the science behind MYK a bit more. So we've talked about these amazing cases where treating one part of the body can actually relieve pain in a totally different area. What's the science behind all of this?
Well, one of the key principles is this idea of regional interdependence. It's basically recognizing that different parts of your body, even ones that seem far apart, can actually influence each other. Your muscles, bones, nerves, fascia, it's all connected, like one big network.
So if one part of that network is messed up, it can create problems somewhere else.
Exactly. It's like a domino effect. And then there's cross-education, which we talked about earlier. That's where training one side of your body can actually make the other side stronger too.
Right, like a bonus workout.
Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. But the basic idea is that your nervous system adapts to the training stimulus, even if you're only working one side. MYK uses that principle to target specific nerve roots and influence muscle function throughout your whole body.
Okay, that makes sense. What about central sensitization? How does that fit in?
So central sensitization is when your nervous system basically gets too sensitive to pain signals. It's like the volume knob for pain is turned way up.
So it's like your body is overreacting to pain.
Exactly. And this can happen after an injury or even just gradually over time from things like chronic stress, bad posture, repetitive movements. MYK can help to calm the nervous system down, bring that volume back to a normal level.
So it's not just about masking the pain. It's about actually changing how your body perceives pain.
Right. It's about getting to the root of the problem.
Okay, so I get the concepts.
Yeah.
But it's still wild to me that you could treat someone's neck to relieve their hip pain, for example.
I know, it seems counterintuitive. But remember those spinal nerve exits we talked about? Each one affects a specific area of the body. So if there's a problem at one of those exits, it can cause problems all the way down the line.
Oh, right. So the nerves that come out of your spine and your neck can actually affect the muscles and tissues in your hip.
Exactly. The nervous system is like this massive communication network, constantly sending signals back and forth between your brain, your spinal cord, and the rest of your body.
So MYK isn't just about manipulating muscles. It's about fixing the communication within the nervous system.
Exactly.
That's a great way to put it. By addressing those nerve root imbalances, MYK can help to clear up those communication lines and let the nervous system work the way it's supposed to.
And when your nervous system is working properly, everything else works better too.
Exactly. MYK recognizes that the body is incredibly good at healing itself. It just needs a little help sometimes to get rid of those roadblocks.
This has been so fascinating. So, what's the big takeaway for our listeners?
I think the most important thing to remember is that pain is rarely just a local issue. It's often a symptom of a bigger imbalance in your body.
So, if you're dealing with pain that just won't go away, it might be worth looking into approaches like MYK that try to find the root cause instead of just treating the symptoms.
Yes.
Exactly. And don't forget about prevention. Things like good posture, stress management, and regular exercise can go a long way in keeping those nerve root imbalances from happening in the first place.
Great advice. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into MYK. We hope you found this exploration as fascinating as we did. It's definitely given us a lot to think about, and we encourage you to keep learning about MYK and other approaches that recognize just how connected our bodies really are. Until next time, take care.
And I have more articles on the website. This is just one case study that we have. We have a number of case studies. We have a number of peer-reviewed published articles as well. So hopefully you got something out of that talk right there, out of that. If you want to read more about these case studies and these published articles and things that we've done, shin splints, low back, knee issues, different things like that. That we've actually got published. So all of that is listed on the website at myksystem.com. If you made it this far, smile.